Every year, our whole company heads down to Sea Otter. We have a giant bowhead tent. We have 20 to 30 athletes who show up racing things from downhill to dual slalom to cross country to gravel, you name it, and we're racing it. I started at the very back. I think I was with the 60 to 70-year-olds, which frankly felt pretty good. In that long a race, especially with only, one person, me, in my category, it was really just a race against myself and the clock. So being at the back gave me some clean air to work with. I'll say at the very beginning, the first a few kilometers or miles. But really what it helped with was some anxiety. And that's something I dealt with right up till the race at Leadville, was just this anxiety of what's it going to be like to have 1,000+ mountain bikers around you and trying not to get in their way, because it's a bit of my personality. I just want this to work, right? I want it to be an awesome experience for me, but I want it to be an awesome experience for the people around me, so that when someone else signs up for a race, that they have a good experience. It's what I've dedicated my life to, so I obviously want it to go well. If you've done any racing, you know that people go out really hot. The adrenaline's high and people go fast. And I thought, for this instance, I'm like, well, I'm with 60 to 70-year-olds. These are people that have been racing for 50, 60 years of their life. So they're probably going to be a little more toned down and a little smarter about it, but they weren't. They just hammered right away. It's hard when people do that because you don't know where you sit. You don't know where you should be. So I kind of let it go, but what ended up happening was I just had a lot of people to pass, which in the moment seemed like, I could be going faster, I could be doing this, I could be doing that. But at the end of the race, it was actually probably the best experience I could have had, because I passed, I think it was probably closer to 300 or 400 people without anyone being upset, without any danger, without any problem. And it meant that I had the most experience with interacting with other people on the trail, compared to if I started right in the pocket where I should have been and only had 10 people forward, 10 people back type thing. The gun went off and I listened to what Scott had told me about my wattage and burning matches, and let people go, because it's still 100 kilometers, 60-mile race, and just race your race. And in the last quarter of it, let it all hang out, but hold off until then. And I did, and it worked. It worked really well. We had everything planned. There was still a bit of screwing around, changing batteries, which identified that as something we needed to work on. It's interesting with the batteries. The fitter you get, the more consistent wattage you can put into the motor. If it's amplifying that wattage, you're actually draining the batteries faster. You're going faster. Everything's just happening faster. And so it's always trying to figure out when to make those swaps, because you don't just get to magically make the swap when your battery's nearing 0%. That might not be where the second set is. So it's trying to figure out where those locations, what you're going to do if the battery level drops before you get to that point, how you're going to manage it, when you're going to start managing it. So by manage it, I mean you're in turbo mode and you go down one, well then you slow down, you go down one, now you're really putting an effort to move forward. You're certainly much slower than a conventional cyclist. You go down again, and then if you turn that thing off, you're pushing a 100-pound bike with a muscle group that is a quarter as strong as a pair of legs. You're done. To keep going would just be more of a survival thing, or but you're not biking at that point. You're certainly not racing.
Christian back! Put your hands together for him.
Nicely done. Thanks. It's definitely a cross-country race. I mean, I think it was as good as it could have gone. Really, yeah. Yeah, it was good. And I think it was 5:30, 5:33. So I think if they hold true, then we go to Leadville. It gave a good representation of what it was going to be like to be on a trail with that many people. And Sea Otter's a lot tighter and a lot windier and a lot more up and down than Leadville is. So that race definitely gave me a calmness that now I could move on from that anxiety or that unknown about Leadville. I could put that in the back of my mind and go back to the, altitude, traction, distance, nutrition, battery strategy, what all those things were. Having started at the back at Sea Otter, they had nothing to go off of. Now I've got a time, and a pretty good time.
I want to hear a huge round of applause for our friend Christian. Looking good. Let's hear it for him one more time. Christian Banks, Para overall winner. And we are proud to offer a Para category at the Leadville Trail 100. Would you like to join us? All right, let's hear it for Christian one more time. Sweet.